graphic people. Traci Reed here today, coming at you with a Sketchy Sunday number 23 layout. You can see the sketch right here, and it calls for 2 photo strips. I actually printed the same photo strip twice because they're going to overlap like this. I like the effect better than covering up some photos. So I'm going to have that, and I'm using the Adventures Together collection, which is from a few years ago. It's a collaboration between me and Studio Basic. I have printed out, so I have like the Traveler's Notebook papers here, but I printed out 2 papers to sort of stack together because in the background of that sketch, there is like a stacked set of papers. So I just reprinted them larger from the 12 by 12 papers. And then we are going to get started. So obviously I do life crafted layout, so this is going to have to be divided in the middle. So I'm going to have to adapt this layout just a little bit for a life crafted size, but we will do that together. So I actually have not a lot of this collection printed out anymore. I'm gonna try and work with what I already have printed. I'm gonna have to end up printing like all of my collections again here pretty soon, but I'm gonna see if I can make this work with what I already have printed. I might pull in some things like these citrus twist tags or something like that if I need some more layers, but let's see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, of course, put the background paper together, and I'm not going to cut these 2 sides apart quite yet. I'm going to construct the layout in one piece so that I can kind of keep all of the pieces that span the entire layout in one place. So I'm going to back both of these photo strips with different pattern papers. I was thinking I wanted to use the grungy portions of these papers because I liked the effect that it gave. I'm using the Adventures Together collection because it has a really mixed media grungy vibe, and I thought that that would work real well with these sort of city photos. We're not exactly like in a downtown city area, but you know, there's bridges and there's a skyline in the background. So I thought that the vibe worked, and plus I haven't used this collection in a long while, so I really love it and I wanted to pull it back out again. So I decided that I needed to cut this apart just so that I could see where my face was, and this in the end did not work out because in the end I punch a hole right through my face on top. So this is the benefit of using 2 photo strips that are exactly the same. When I did that, I could choose a workaround that made it work for me and wasn't that big of a deal. If I had had a separate set of photos under there, it would have been a big, huge bummer. So I cut the papers apart, but you can see I adhered them back together using adhesive on that photo strip. And so I've pulled out some of the deeper colors, or the lighter colors, I mean, from the papers, for my paper strips, and I'm going to frame these 2 photo strip corners with the deeper blue again so that I can bring some more of that dark color back up to the top. So I really love the way that those colors all play together. I'm going to add in some more color on this page as I work in the embellishments and things, but the main color palette is going to be this blue, gray, teal sort of palette. So I needed to add in the paper tear that's on the sketch before I went any further so that I didn't accidentally like put things over it. So what I did was I just tore 2 little bits and then I folded the resulting 3 pieces in different directions so that they all kind of look grungy and torn apart. And now I'm adding some really extreme distressing to the edges so that it is nice and grungy. I'm going to use grungy like 18,000 times in this video. I apologize. I'm using pop dots or pop squares to adhere all that down so that they retain some of their height. And now I have pulled out my embellishments and anything that I thought that I would maybe use. I need a place for my journaling, so I'm going to use that green journaling block in place because I can't really write on that background because it is definitely too dark for to really be seen. So I'm going to use it in place of the sketch where it has me writing directly on the background. And so now I'm just going to add in some words because I didn't want to add too many words to this page, but I wanted some, right? So I added those in first so that I know kind of what all of the words look like together. I have very few embellishments well, okay, I have very few of the most used embellishments from this collection left, including those scribbly hearts that I love so much. I only had 2, but I didn't want to print more, remember, so we're going to make it work. I wanted to use some arrows, so I had a few different varieties of arrows out. I wasn't sure what I was going to do yet, so I'm just kind of placing them around. Some of my embellishments are adhered to self-adhesive foam, so they have some height to them, like this heart right here and that blue scribbly heart. They're both on foam. So I did that as an experiment to see if I could create my own sort of foam thickers, and it worked out fine, except my silhouette had a hard time cutting through that foam. I haven't done it on my new silhouette. It was an original silhouette that had a hard time. So because I had a hard time cutting through that foam, I kind of had to hack it together, and so some of the stickery part of the foam thickers, the DIY foam thickers, got a little bit messed up. I'm going to work with it anyway because we have a bit of a grunge vibe going for this layout, so I'm just going to go with it. I think it works. They were still in my stash because they were messed up a little bit, but I think it works for this layout, so we're gonna go with it. You can see on that green heart that it's a little torn over there in the inside, but no big deal. So I'm going to use this Once Upon an Adventure as my title. There's a large title going vertically on the sketch itself, but I didn't want to add a big title over there. So I'm going to just add that little title, and I used the rest of the space for the arrow and the heart. Now I'm going to start adhering everything else down. I'm actually adding to the layering on the sketch itself because, you know me, I love to layer, so we're going to add a lot more embellishment than what we had previously had. I kept trying to put this "Be Present in This Moment" tag down at the bottom, but because it was pointing down, it just didn't make visual sense to me, so I ended up moving it later. But I tried real hard to put it on the bottom down there, but I couldn't make it work. So there are some embellishments like tucked in between the photos, which I guess is a good thing because I'm going to tuck even more embellishments in between the photos once I punch my own face out with my hole punch, which, by the way, if you are working in a Life Crafted album the way that I do, where you punch holes in your layout, when you start getting super layered like this, I highly advise to pre-punch your holes in the paper before you start layering, because when I tried to stick this in my hole punch, my 6-hole punch, it was an unhappy hole punch, and I could not get it in all of the way, so I ended up using just a regular freehand hole punch. But I had to take apart some of my layout first so that I could get the holes in the right place. It was a hot mess. So pre-punch holes just straight in the background paper, so that in case you do also have to use a hand punch, you have the holes to guide you beforehand. All right, so we're getting good here. I have a lot of embellishment going on. I'm gonna do the whole cutting and torture of my face there. You can see, oof. So I'm gonna use this little viewfinder or Viewmaster reel, and I'm just gonna cover myself up. No big deal. It's a repetitive photo. It's just there for decoration. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm not covering up my other face. Don't worry. It's gonna go underneath. But I just cut it off and stuck it under. And I'm going to make sure that it spans both sides of the page. I'm going to use liquid glue on the edge here because it's too thin for tape runner. So we're just going to snip that off, line it back up, and then use liquid glue to adhere it to the other side. I got some new liquid glue, this Nuvo liquid glue. I heard it recommended on a different YouTube video. I think it was Sarah Scraps talked about it or saw it somewhere, maybe in her group. I'm not sure. I saw it, ordered it because she said it was the best for sequins, and I'm always having sequins pop off my pages since they're not in page protectors. So we're gonna test it out. It seems to be working out pretty well so far. I'm liking it. You can see the color palette is still very blue, green, gray here. So I have that one yellow word strip. So I want to make sure that I just add in a little bit more color so that that one yellow word strip does not look like it's out of place. So I added that red heart, and I'm just going to add in a few more of these little random hearts. And I also feel like I need to add in that heart geotag, but I actually am not sure if that ends up making it on the layout or not. I imagine it does, but we'll find out together. Oh, yes. Okay, so I needed another spot of yellow, so it's gonna go here. Put this heart over here. All right, we're getting good. We're getting close to done here. I need to add in my journaling, of course. And I tried to add in these white hearts that are like actually the cutouts from that Viewmaster reel, but I decided I didn't like them. I really love the texture on this layout. It's hard to kind of see on the video, but it has a ton of texture in real life, so that worked out for as far as an embellishment for me. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. If you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Traci M. Reed. I'd love to see you over there as well. There is a link to the sketch challenge in the description box below. All right, thank you.